G'day guys, welcome back to Off-Road Crusader, home of fitting superfluous mods to four-wheel drive since, well, forever. Today we're going to be installing some RGB rock lights from Stedi. This is a 6-light kit, so obviously you get 6 of these bad boys. These lights are waterproof, they're pretty much dust proof and all the rest of it, so they're really sturdy. 3 LEDs inside, red, green, blue, so you can have any colour or mixture in between. These then go back to a central controller, which is obviously collects all the lights. It will tell the lights what colours to emit, what mixture you want, what sort of brightness or what sort of pattern you want them to do as well. That is all controlled through an app on your phone, which is super handy. So obviously you can change it to be, just white or yellow lights around camp, or you can have it to pulsating red and purple and green if you want to hang out at your Bush Doof and light trees on fire. So the real benefit of going to these is that it's going to help to light up underneath the car. In my previous Prado, I had just the white LEDs, so the precursor to these. All they did was white light. I had them installed in the wheel arches up the top, and it obviously emitted light downwards, helped to light up in the wheel arch, which was handy if you ever needed to work on your car at night. And it was also handy at camp because it sort of lit up the ground and it showed you where you were walking and you didn't need as many lights at camp, which was really handy. So the kit obviously comes with 6 of these. 2 of them are going to be 5 meters in length and 4 of them are going to be 3.5. Obviously, because you have controllers, you're usually going to be mounted either at the front of the car or the back. 2 of these lights are going to be furthest away, so they've made the cords a little bit longer, which is super handy. Also will come with these mounting kits. So these, obviously there's 6 of these, 1 per light. They have a rubber backing plate, which is really good as a template to mark out where you're going to drill your holes. And it also helps to isolate the lights so that, if you're mounting it on a completely uneven surface, then it sort of works all that out, and helps with waterproofing a bit as well if you need to sort of drill into some panels where you need waterproofing. Comes with some self-tapping screws or some bolts with nylock nuts. The bolts are obviously the better way to do it because it's a much more sturdy mounting system, because a nylock nut's not going to come undone. The self-tapping screws are really there when you can't get behind the panel to put a nut on. I do wish they supplied some that are a little bit shorter. These are about 3 inches long, which is a little bit excessive in my mind, but we work with what we can. Obviously, if you've got self-tapping screws or something at home, you could obviously use those. Where you're going to be installing them, you may need some silicone. So I've just got some roofing silicone here to help waterproof any holes that I drill. Obviously drill bits. I use a 3mm drill bit as a pilot hole for any of the self-tapping screws that I use. Otherwise, you're also going to need a larger screw, which is about a 12mm. That's to allow for the actual light to pass through the back, because obviously the light's on the back of there and you're going to be flush mounting it, so your cable has to pass through, which is about a 12mm hole, and I'm using a step drill for that one there. You'll also need some cable ties. These are not supplied in the kit though. Stedi, if you're watching, definitely supply some cable ties because it just makes it so much nicer. And obviously some side cutters to trim them and keep it all neat. So we're going to get straight into it, install the rest of these. If you've been following along with the build series, you already know that I've installed 2 of these in the rear wheel arches. That is because where I bolted them in, you need to get to the back of the panel, which is behind all the plastics and stuff there, which has now got drawers in the way. So it was going to be very difficult to get to later on, now that the drawers are all installed. So I did that preemptively and ran all the cables and stuff like that. I've also mounted the Bluetooth controller on the back of the drawers as well, just because again it was going to be hard to access once everything was built into the car. But now we're going to add these on. So these are going to go in the front wheel arches and also under the skirts of the car as well, so that I can light up all the way around the car. All right, the day is young. Let's jump into it and get this sorted. I'm going to head over to the 200 and show you where we're going to mount these bad boys on the car. So starting with the front wheel arch, ideally you want it to be like central to the wheel, so directly above it. And basically you can see here's a plastic guard, and we want it to go into metal, so because if you ever need to remove this plastic guard, I don't want to have to take the light out, so we're going to put it in the metal here. So using the actual rubber template, we can sort of find a home for that, which I reckon will probably go about there. Again, the actual wheel arch is not a completely flat surface. That's what the rubber gasket is for. So looking above that in the engine bay, oh look, heaps of room. It is going to go underneath where the airbox would usually go. So I've just taken the bottom of the airbox out, 3 bolts and some screws, and she's out. And I can already tell that it's probably going to go around here, which is right under the airbox. What we're going to do is install the rock light. I'm going to use bolts for this one because that way I can make them shorter. The self-tapping screws are just going to be way too long. and once they are in position, I can basically make the bolts as short as I possibly can and then fit the airbox back over the top, and then we won't have any issues. So we're going to get into that now. Really need to clean this engine bay, hey. Done. That's basically test fitted where I want it to sit, and you can see it's just clearing that plastic panel, and that'll cast a good sort of light down onto the tyre and around into the wheel arch as well, which is good. So if we look up the top, so there you can see what I've done, drilled the 2 holes through. These are obviously not just finger tight at the moment, they'll have washers on them when they're ready, and for the actual cable to pass through. This will get filled, basically when I finish this it'll get filled with silicone to sort of help protect this and hold this in a position. But for now, we wanted just to get this in place because you can already see these bolts are like way too long for what the application requires. So now they're in place, what I can do is remove one of these at a time, cut the bolts shorter, reinstall it, and then obviously do the same to the other one. That'll basically mean that the bolts are going to be as short as they possibly can be. They're not going to touch on the airbox at all. And obviously when I reinstall these for real, well, finally anyway, I can use the nylock nuts supplied and make sure it's not going anywhere. So let's jump into that. Well, I hope you guys are enjoying the episode so far. I thought I would just interrupt and show you a new bit of merch which is on the horizon for Off-Road Crusader, which are these lovely black mugs, which look all nice and ordinary, but if you take a bit of hot water, and look at that, before your eyes, the logo is revealed. Definitely a cool little showpiece to show off in the office or at home, and just to show you love of Off-Road Crusader, which, you know, I've got a mug, so why don't you guys? I'm going to be giving 2 of these away. I've got 2 left, and I'm going to give them away to 2 of you in the comments. So if you want one of these mugs, comment down below. Let me know your favorite mod on the 200 series so far. I will sift through the comments, I will pick the 2 best ones, and I'm going to send you guys a mug each. And also, because I'm feeling generous, a sticker and a patch as well. Look at that, they'll all go in together. So head down below, head into the comments, let me know your favorite mod on the 200 series so far and why, and I will pick out the best ones and send them a mug, a sticker and a patch. Cheers guys, enjoy the episode. So if you're going to be going ahead and trimming down some bolts, there are some little tips I can show you that will make that process much easier and smoother. First step I can tell you is thread on at least 2 nuts, or 1 will do the trick. I prefer to use 2, obviously more is just a redundancy package. Then you're going to thread them obviously past your cut point and leave a bit of a gap between the 2 as well. That way when you put it in the vise, you see our cut point there, it also gives you another flat spot to hold the bolt in place with. Now that's in nice and neat, we're going to use our hacksaw, cut this down to our desired length, be about there. Boom! That's done out of the way. Now take a file and just sort of clean up your cut, do your square, like square onto the bolt first, making sure it's nice and flat, and then you're going to go around with your file and sort of bevel the edges ever so slightly. What this is going to do is it just helps when you're trying to put your nut back on, that it'll actually thread on nicely, because as you've cut it you've obviously deformed the metal, so this just helps to sort of make sure the nut will go back on. You don't have to bevel too much, just a little bit all the way around. Beautiful. Take that out, and what we do now is, because we've got these 2 nuts, we want to undo the first one. When it gets to the end of where you've cut, if you've done a good job with your beveling and cleaning it all up, it should just screw off fairly easy, which this one does, which is nice. And what that does is that nut also helps to clean up the threads you've just cut through as well, to make sure you can do it nicely. Now this is where the second nut's important, is that you can now unscrew this one, and that just double confirms or double checks that your threads are nice and clean. And there we have it, our bolts shortened now to our desired length. So we can put this back in the car. I've just added a little bit of spray paint around that hole where I've just drilled through. Let that dry for a few minutes, and then we're going to insert these with our nylock nuts. install them for real. So as you can see, that's all installed now. Those nylock nuts and washers just help to sort of spread that load a bit more over the panel. I've put a bit of silicone around the cord for now, because obviously once I put the airbox on, I'm not going to be able to get there. What that does is it helps to insulate the cord from the metal that we've just cut, the hole we've cut in it, so it doesn't rub against it. Also helps to make sure it doesn't move. And once we actually put the airbox on and run our line down, which will be around there, it'll help to hold it in place a little bit as well and stop that movement. So there's two ways you can do this from here. You can either run this cord through the grommet in the firewall here, put it into the vehicle and then run it to wherever your Bluetooth receiver is going to be, or you can run it along the chassis rail. I'm choosing to keep it outside the vehicle, number one, because I've already got stuff going through that grommet. It's full and I don't want to add more stuff to it. And also that way I only have one entry point into the vehicle from these wires, which is going to be connected to the one going under the side step. So I'm going to pass this down into the wheel arch now, and then we can refit the airbox. So we're currently underneath the kick panel on the behind the rear door. If you take this plastic trim off, like I'm showing you now how to do, it's basically pop the plug off, undo one screw, and then the whole thing pulls out. It's just clipped in, push clips. You'll have this bit of carpet here that flaps up. There's two grommets, one here which is for your body mount to get to that, and the one we're going to use is this one for the forward. It's a slightly smaller one. That one there is how we're going to pass our cables through. We're basically going to drill a hole through this plastic, seal it up with silicone, pass the cables through it, and that way we've got a well protected entry into the cabin that is sealed up from water and dust ingress. I'm just using a little bit of masking tape to hold the cables in place while the silicone dries. Once the silicone dries, it'll hold those cables in place for me. This masking tape is not going to last very long, but it just needs to sit here long enough to hold the cables down while I'm doing all this work around it. And when the silicone dries, it'll create that nice seal so that it's all watertight. So now that the cables are into the car, I need to connect them up to the Bluetooth receiver, transmitter, whatever you want to call it, which is in the side wings of my drawer. So basically I need these to go behind these plastic panels and run into the back where my drawers are. So all I'm going to do there, rather than trying to pull the trims up, is take one at a time, grab a screwdriver to lever this up slightly, and you can actually push these cords underneath the trim. Like so. So there's one, there's two, and once they're under there, it helps to hold them in position as well. So I'm just going to keep feeding these under. Now they're all nice and tucked out of the way, I can put my plastic trim, the step piece, back on here, and then jump in the back, connect them all up and see how they look. So here is where I've got the Bluetooth receiver transmitter. I've got that all mounted, hardwired into the Red Vision system, so it's switched through there. These are the ports. So there's 6 of them, one for each light. And obviously they'll just have these ends on them. You match them up with the cords coming from the light, and then away you go. So I've already connected up the other 4, so I'm just going to do these 2 now. It doesn't matter which one you connect them to, all the signal is equal across the 6. So we're going to connect them all up now, tidy up the wires so nothing's going to rattle, and then have to probably wait till it's dark and then go and check these out, I think. The last thing you'll need to do is mount the switch which is supplied in the power harness for the Stedi rock lights. I've obviously run my switching through the Red Arc Red Vision system, so I'll just turn it on and off with the press of a button, and then you'll go onto your phone, you'll download the app, the Stedi RGB app, which you can get from either the Play Store or from the Apple variant, whatever that is. You can tell I only use Android, can't you? Once you Bluetooth pair that to your RGB system installed in the car, you can then select what sort of brightness you want, what color you want, what pattern. You can go on and use the microphone function, which allows the pulsing lights to sync up with a audio that you've got going on. So if you've got music in the background, it'll sync up and pulse with that. Works pretty well, not as great as what you'd expect, but a cool little party trick anyway. You don't have to use the app all the time to use the lights. The good thing is you'll set it up with the app to figure out what sort of light or pattern or whatever you want to happen on the lights. You can then just simply switch the lights off, and then that'll sort of save that function. So that way when you turn them on next time, they will resume where you left off before. Definitely a cool little mod if you wanted to give it a go. Probably like an afternoon project for you, depending on how skilled you want to be and how integrated you want to make it as well. Definitely does help out with camping. I've already tried these out at night and they definitely do help to flood the floor around the car with a bit of light. And obviously having the rave lights go on as well, I really feel the urge to go out bush and take pingers and set trees on fire and do burnouts. So guys, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much to Stedi, who didn't sponsor this video, but I'll thank them preemptively so they'll sponsor the next one. And I'll catch you guys in the next episode of Off-Road Crusader. Cheers.